a sci-fi hero. Sci-fi heroes are very popular. You know, I'm going to change pencils just real quick so it's not as sketchy. Still might be a little bit, but I'm going to, from my 9mm lead to my 5mm, or my 0.5 I should say. Okay. So, let's have a sci-fi figure. I'm going to draw a circle again. I'm going to put in my line of action because this character is going to be flying. Let's make him kind of young. So his body will probably be thinner, right? And I got a little belt on him there. I'm going to use the shapes for his legs here, kind of a triangular on one side, a rectangle on another. I'm going to puff out the last rectangle over here and do another triangle over this way. Now what I've done is making it look like he's flying. I've bent his leg so it creates the illusion of action and movement in him. I'm going to draw a circle right now, and this circle would be over here. Now, drawing with these shapes like this is usually more to the way I draw. Naturally, I don't use a lot of the stick figure, just sometimes to help me figure out where I'm placing stuff, but I don't really go out in too much detail. So now I got a guy here. Maybe he's holding some kind of laser pistol. So what I do is I draw out the basic shape of this character. And now since he's going to be young, let's put in the guidelines for his face. Right? The guidelines for his face here will allow me to figure out how I'm going to be drawing this character. Basically where the placement of the eyes is. So if the eyes are placed in one spot, let me erase here. I know usually that's where the piece of the forehead is, and if we look at someone from a profile, we know it looks like on our forehead it goes in over by my eye, and I can tilt it in and shape the head a little bit that way. But let's add another shape to this. Let's put a helmet on him. So that helmet right there helps me out. I'm going to put in his eyes, and he's going to be investigating here, so he's going to look a little surprised. And now what I'm going to do is create this kind of long W shape I just made. And what that is going to be goggles for him. And if I wanted to, I can just lightly come over and shade to show that he's wearing goggles. Or I can just do a couple of heavy lines over it and erase the other areas to show that there's a shine. I'm going to give him a small nose because he's young, and kind of a little crooked smile. He's kind of happy. He's investigating this. It's his first mission. Little brim on the hat there. Maybe it's got some stuff over here. And then you would have one over here that we'd see, and we actually probably would just see a little bit of the top over there going backwards. Maybe he's got a little collar there. If we puff this out a little bit, it'll look like he's got a small chest, showing that he's kind of muscular and athletic because he's thin. So he's could be very athletic that way. But by adding in some pieces that I'm making darker here. You can see here how this is showing that he's also a little muscular as well. So he's a fit kid. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put his belt on. Okay. Now normally I would never draw this hard when I'm just developing a character. I'm doing that right now just so you can see what needs to get done and what lines that I've decided to choose. Okay, now sci-fi characters will probably wear boots, so you want some high boots on them. We can do a few things to, I don't know, give them a sense of more interest. So I wouldn't see that one over there. Okay, maybe it's got a big heel like it's a space boot. Or sole, yeah. Sole, I should say. And let's bump it out a bit. Okay. Maybe he's got a stripe coming down on his uniform here. Okay, we see on one side, so we wouldn't see it on the other leg. Now let's give out this arm. Maybe he's got some kind of shoulder pads. Okay. So let's give him some, I'll give him some kind of wristband communicator, so. Okay, maybe we've got, let's change up his costume a bit here. Now I just added in some muscle to him to tone up his body, but I just noticed that the way I'm going to draw this character's chest plate will cover up some of those muscles and even into his shoulder pads. So I'm going to erase there. And all heroes need a symbol. And let's say he is a, whoop, hold on, my lead is. Can I draw? Okay, lead's fine. So let's give him some kind of symbol. We'll just do a triangle with maybe kind of like a ring that would be, you'd find around Saturn or something, I don't know. Let's give out his hand right now. I'll give him. Now, you gotta think if you want your characters to be 3-fingered or 4-fingered. I like to draw 4-fingered characters most of the time. To make this not look like a real gun, and it's a little more sci-fi-ish, let's change that up. Let's change up that look, let's change up that shape. Actually, we'll be able to see that, so we can see that side. Okay. And you'll notice, as I mentioned before, I moved the paper around to kind of help me plan out my lines and make the best lines possible, and it's just very helpful. So don't feel you get a piece of paper you can draw straight. That's never the case. Let's continue his line pattern over here. You wouldn't see it on that arm. So let's just add a little color. I'm going to do it with the pencil right now and shade in anywhere there's not going to be that line. Now what I'm doing here, by bringing in some tone in some areas. Tone is the overall basic color of an object. So for this, since it's graphite, it would be kind of a gray, or some kind of black. I'm going to go with a gray, let's say. Before I add in some major shadows. Now by doing this, we also add contrast to the drawing, which means it's not so bland or so boring that it's not just all white and the character's an outline on a white page. There's enough black or color in there to balance out the image so that it doesn't always come across and read boring. Coloring books do that a lot. Coloring books will leave a lot empty so that you can color and add the color to it. But for the most part, most coloring book pages don't have a lot of balance on them. They're very bland. But once you bring the color into them, you change it up. But not everything's going to have the ability to come in a comic book. Not a comic book, a coloring book, I should say. And my lead is going again on me. Sorry. Come on, I know I've lead in you. I just filled you up. There we go. Oh yeah, the color. Forgot where I was for a second. I apologize. This really helps it out. I could even do stuff on the character's hands, like maybe give him gloves, and that could be helpful. Maybe his belt buckle. And let's do. Whoops. Okay. You see, I'm creating this balance here. I'm even going to give him a chin strap. And I will color that in. Now you don't want to overdo it. Too much color or too much black will overpower the drawing, and then it won't look boring, but it'll look what we call muddy and just messy. So we don't want to go too crazy. And really the best way to learn this is through observation and studying shadows and figuring out where natural shadows fall, and how you observe when a person is wearing clothes. Depending on the type of clothes they're wearing, they appear everything appears a little different. So you could even use lines to help out a little bit and do what we call hatching. It will help create a little bit of shadow on your piece here. Now, one thing I haven't given this character yet, and I should have done it earlier, is a jetpack. And let's do that right now. So the jetpack, we're not going to see everything. I'm going to make it a small jetpack that comes across. And I'm not touching the page yet. Remember how I mentioned when you draw circles, you don't touch the page until you feel you got a good shape? Excuse me. I sometimes do that here. Like, I know I want to curve out his jetpack, so I'm getting the curve, and then when I get close to where I want, I bring down the paper. So I got my curve right there, and now I'm gonna come this way and curve it out. And let me just add some detail onto it. Maybe I'll even give it a little bit of a fin off on the side here. Okay. And now it's got to have power coming out because you can see he's flying. So let's add in a bit of a small circle here. This is how I like to do it. And then I will curve out his jet stream. And if it goes off the paper, that's fine. And we could even come back in, follow the curve to where it would go. And now you can see it looks like he flew off the page and back in. Now you don't need to have this piece up there. That's fine. You could just stop there. You could even stop earlier if you want. And I'll just add in some detail there. Now, one of the things I like to do is I like to add in some lines following the pattern. And you want to create the lines going in the same direction. So you don't want to go back and forth. You want the lines to always look like they're coming from the same way. What that does is add some motion to the image, and it shows that there's movement. We could add in a couple that aren't in the jet stream itself, such as over here. And these are called motion lines. It helps tell the direction the character's going in, or if an object is, say, you threw a ball. Okay, let's erase some areas I don't need right now. Okay, and there we go. We got a little, let me just lighten up over here. I'll go back in. And let's just lightly bring in some of the goggles there. And there he is. You know, there's our sci-fi hero flying through the sky. But you know, it doesn't look like he's in a sky. How do we fix that? Throw a couple of clouds in. And clouds are a couple of just, you know, bumps that you put together. And if you do them at different sizes, you get this feeling of distance and depth. If you were to cover him up with one over here, it would look like he's behind the cloud as well. But for now, this is fine. We can even, if you wanted to at the bottom, put a couple of shapes for a very large city. Now, normally, you could do something like just a bunch of boxes, but because this is sci-fi, we get to have fun and change up the shapes of the way the buildings would look. You know? You could have one regular building if you'd like. And we got this coming in over here, and I'll just do something up. Okay. And we can, let me just do a little bit of touch up right here. If we put in some just simple lines or dots in places, it'll give the illusion of windows. Okay, and then we can do another same type of thing in the back here. And I'm going to go a little more generic right now in the shapes. Okay, and with a very light shadow, this will give it the illusion of distance. Okay, maybe we can put a little small type of spaceship over here flying. Shadow it out there, and some action lines. Maybe we'll do another one over here. Same type of ship, could be a little different. Maybe do one kind of, just one more. Nothing crazy. You don't want to go too big, but we'll make this kind of like a truck. We'll have it go in the other direction. So it looks kind of... Okay. Now you see we got a sci-fi hero. Now the last thing we always do to every drawing is we sign it. So make sure you put your name on here. And you can date it too. Today is, well, we're in February, but I'll just put the year. We're in 2014. So it's February 2014. And that is a sci-fi hero.